Hello, cinephiles, and welcome back to the channel. Every once in a while, global cinema gifts us a film that doesn't just ask for our attention but actively invades our subconscious. A film that bypasses the loud, predictable machinery of mainstream Hollywood and opts instead for an intimate, brutal, and quietly astonishing exploration of the human condition. Today, we are diving deep into what is undeniably the most haunting, critically polarizing, and brilliant psychological drama of 2026, La Perra, The Bitch. Directed by the visionary Chilean filmmaker Dominga Sotomayor, this movie absolutely electrified the festival circuits earlier this year, leaving audiences in a state of stunned silence. If you try searching for deep dive video essays or breakdowns of this film on mainstream platforms like YouTube, you will find next to nothing. Due to strict festival distribution rights and its highly sensitive, uncompromising themes, extensive video coverage remains virtually non-existent. But today, over the next 10 minutes, we are going to pull back the layers of this cinematic enigma and explore exactly why La Perra is a monumental achievement in modern filmmaking. The desolate shore plot and setting on the surface, La Perra masquerades as a minimalist character study, but that deceptive simplicity is where its trap is set. The film is set against the stark, breathtakingly lonely backdrop of a remote, rocky Chilean coastline. This isn't the postcard-perfect version of South America, this is a landscape defined by gray skies, unforgiving jagged cliffs, and an oppressive, endless ocean. Here lives Elena, a middle-aged woman who has retreated entirely from civilization. Elena is a woman hollowed out by unspoken trauma, grief, and a profound, self-inflicted isolation. She has built a fortress of solitude to escape a world that broke her. The inciting incident occurs on an ordinary, overcast morning. While walking along the debris-strewn shore, Elena discovers a stray, severely injured dog, a female dog, or La Perra in Spanish. The animal is bloody, defensive, and on the verge of death. Moved by a sudden, unexpected spike of empathy, Elena brings the creature into her Spartan home. She cleans its wounds, shares her meager food, and nurses it back to health. Now, if this were any other film, this would be the cue for a heartwarming, redemptive arc about the healing power of a human-animal bond. We've seen it 1,000 times before. But Dominga Sotomayor has absolutely no interest in comfort. As the dog heals, a deeply unsettling, symbiotic, and fiercely intense psychological dynamic begins to take root between the two. The dog ceases to be just a pet. Instead, it becomes a living, breathing externalization of Elena's suppressed rage, her deepest paranoias, and her primal instincts. The narrative slowly twists into a claustrophobic psychological thriller, where the boundaries between human civility and animalistic survival begin to terrifyingly blur. The architecture of silence. To understand the sheer power of La Perra, we have to talk about its technical execution, because this film is a masterclass in visual storytelling. Sotomayor and her cinematographer reject the polished, artificial lighting of contemporary cinema. They rely almost exclusively on natural, ambient light. The resulting color palette is cold, muted, and drenched in earthy tones that make the screen feel damp with sea spray. But what truly sets this film apart is its radical use of silence. La Perra features remarkably little dialogue. Elena rarely speaks, and when she does, it is in clipped, murmured fragments. Instead, the film communicates through a brilliant, hyper-detailed sound design. The rustle of the wind through dry grass, the heavy breathing of the dog in a dark room, the rhythmic, almost threatening thud of the ocean waves hitting the cliffs, these sounds are amplified to become the actual dialogue of the movie. There is a staggering 10-minute sequence midway through the film where not a single word is spoken. It tracks Elena and the dog simply navigating the rocky terrain during a rising tide. The tension generated in that sequence, purely through editing, pacing, and the predatory gaze of the camera, is more nerve-wracking than any jump scare in a multi-million-dollar horror movie. It forces you, the viewer, to stop watching passively and start feeling the heavy, suffocating atmosphere of the environment. The metaphor and the mirror. As we move into the deeper, thematic layers of the film, the title La Perra reveals its true, multi-layered meaning. The word is not just a literal description of the canine companion, it is a sharp, derogatory mirror held up to how society views and treats a woman who chooses to exist outside of its established norms. Elena is a social outcast, a woman who refused to perform the roles expected of her, and in the eyes of the distant world she left behind, she is treated with the same disregard as a stray animal. The core philosophical question of the movie centers on the nature of internal savagery. When a human being is stripped of social interactions, social contracts, and the noise of modern life, what fills the vacuum? Sotomayor introduces a brilliant subplot involving a group of trespassers who arrive on the island. The sudden intrusion of the outside world shatters the fragile peace Elena has constructed. It is here that the dog's loyalty transforms into something terrifyingly overprotective. The line between protection and malice vanishes. The film forces us to confront a deeply uncomfortable reality: the dog isn't corrupting Elena. Rather, the dog acts as a catalyst, pulling the buried, raw, and feral parts of Elena's psyche out into the open. It asks us, can isolation twist our instinct for survival into something monstrous? And who is the true predator, the wild beast, or the civilized world that drives people into exile? The final 20 minutes of La Perra are a tour de force of cinematic tension. The climax avoids cheap, explosive resolutions. Instead, it delivers a visceral, psychological gut punch that leaves the ending entirely open-ended. It refuses to hand the audience a neat moral lesson, leaving you to debate long after the credits roll on who actually triumphed, and what was lost in that lonely house by the sea. The verdict to conclude: La Perra, 2026, is emphatically not a film designed for casual viewing. It is not something you put on in the background while scrolling through your phone on a Friday night. It is a demanding, uncompromising, and deeply atmospheric piece of art house cinema. It requires your complete presence, and in return, it rewards you with a cinematic experience that is rare in this day and age. It features an absolute powerhouse of a lead performance, relying heavily on physical acting, facial expressions, and body language rather than monologues. Dominga Sotomayor has cemented her status as a titan of contemporary international cinema by proving that you don't need giant explosions, complex ensemble casts, or exposition-heavy scripts to tell a story that feels apocalyptic in scale. I am giving La Perra a resounding 4.5 out of 5 stars. It is a profound, beautiful, and deeply disturbing X-ray of the human soul. But what about you? Are you drawn to these quiet, high-stakes psychological dramas that challenge the traditional boundaries of cinema? Or do you prefer a more structured, conventional narrative? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive audio review and want to discover more hidden, astonishing gems of global cinema that the mainstream algorithms Mississippi, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until next time, keep seeking out the stories that make you think. Goodbye.